So you mentioned Bobby Riggs, and can you tell me about the dog and the elephant?
Yeah, well, Bobby Riggs was a hustler,
Right.
and he loved nothing better than to jerk people around mentally. And being a psychologist, a licensed psychologist, you know, I didn't think anybody would mess with my mind. And so in 1955, my first chance to play in a pro tournament, they invited 12 players from around the world to play in this World Pro Championships in Cleveland. And I'm my first chance, and I'm beating Bobby Riggs, the great Bobby Riggs. I was just absolutely elated. 4-1, I'm leading him. I'm killing him on the backhand side, and I'm passing him down the line. I'm passing him cross court. He said I was the fastest guy he ever played. Now as we cross the net, he keeps getting in front of me and won't let me get to the other side. And finally he wants to say something to me. He said, kid, he said, hang in there. He says, your backhand will come back. And I said, what? I said, I'm killing him on the backhand. I said, he must be on the sauce or something. And I started thinking about my backhand, and I lost. And it was the first time I thought I'd ever been jerked around psychologically. And then we're opening Epcot for Michael Eisner, and Bobby, again, we're doing the Mike Douglas show. And Bobby said, you know, do you guys mind if I played you, Trini Lopez, and Anita Bryant tied to a dog on the show? And I'm going, oh God, here we go with Riggs again. He's going to mess with our mind. The dog went out and bit him on the thigh, right on the show. So they take care, and then they bring down Bobby said, don't worry, I have backup. They bring out this huge elephant. They tie Bobby to this trunk, and the trunk is throwing Bobby all over the court. So that Bobby says, no, I have backup. He brings out a small elephant. And the small elephant loved tennis. And we would lob over the elephant's head, and the elephant would just back up and tied, and Bobby is tied to the leg of this elephant. Matter of fact, I have photos of the elephant. So anyway, then Bobby sees that Anita is getting mad, Anita Bryant. And Anita just screamed out on the show. She said, I have never played an elephant. And I said, well, Anita, hardly any of us have practiced much against an elephant. You just got to laugh and have some fun. And then Bobby sees that she's getting upset, and he starts giving her all the spins and everything. The bottom line was, we lost to an elephant. And it's the worst loss. When people tell me they've really had a bad loss, I go, not really. You wait till you've lost to an elephant. You will never, ever forget it.
Well, okay, let's switch into some things that help us out here. I've watched a lot of your videos over the years and read your books. And can you talk about depth? And especially, you know, depth is good for anybody, but especially for people that are a little larger, out of shape. What can hitting the ball deep do for them?
Well, first of all, when hitting the ball deep, the value of it, increases your time, and it decreases the angle that people can hit back. And so you add time, and they are now hit into a narrower lane. The shorter the ball you hit, the wider the angle, the further you have to run. So depth is everything for you. And in pro tennis today, the first short ball is usually the loser. Mm-hmm. And so if you keep the ball deep, that's like dinkers. All they do is throw a helium ball up in the air, and you have to stay back and play. People say, yeah, but who wants to play like that? Go to a dinker's house. They have a house full of trophies all the time, because they play on frustration tolerance levels. They know that you're going to get upset having to play that way. But the idea is you got to find a way to beat a dinker. But dinkers beat you by hitting high and deep and all day long. Mm-hmm. And when the ball goes over 10 times, the average guy goes, this is driving me crazy. And the dinker goes, this could go to 100. They're so happy to just extend the point. Mm-hmm. But they can extend it because of depth.
Yeah, and I think I remember you saying if you hit in the middle, like a 3-foot circle around the center line, you'd beat 90% of people beating you now, or something like that?
Actually, I made that statement. I've even put it in a magazine. If you could hit deep and down the middle and just kept it going, you could beat almost everybody in the world. And Billie Jean King called me and said, you know, Vic, you're wrong. I said, Why? And she said, because you could beat everybody in the world if you could hit it deep and down the middle every time. And she's probably right, you know.
Yeah. Now, I asked you this the other day, and I don't think I got a good enough answer. I want to know, you're considered one of the top tennis researchers ever on the planet. What are you most proud of with your research?
Well, for me, research provides answers and rationale for things. And for a long time, for many, many years, all we heard was, do this because I said so. And that wasn't good enough for me. And so for me, it wasn't an individual research project. It was just finding answers for any question that people wanted to ask. And if I had good rationale, if I said, look, we've done cardiovascular studies, and we've done eye studies, and people say, well, follow the ball into the strings. And I said, you know what bothers me following the ball in the string? I've never seen a ball hit a racket. Then we found out it's only on the racket 4 milliseconds, and a human can't see a 4 millisecond event. Then we had a special camera showing that you don't follow the ball in the strings. If you follow the ball, your eyes go past the racket and back. That kind of stuff. And with each new discovery, it's just as exciting as any other discovery. And so for me, it was discovery and giving answers to things. And I don't think we have all the answers yet, but for every, I try to get as many experts around me as I can. We're doing individual research. Dr. Amen, who's done 100,000 brain scans, has helped me on how the brain functions. Dick Schmidt, UCLA motor learning specialist, how the brain develops a motor program, a software package, and how you can screw it up, and things like that. Dr. Brody, a physicist, and Dr. Hans Liebmann, a famous physicists who worked on the bomb for us, for America. Those kind of people who are spending their whole life doing one little segment. And I think I've mentioned, I got all these famous physicists there, and I said, you know, I really wish I could get you guys to spend more time on tennis research. And they said, yes, but you know what? We know what's going on with the tennis ball, but we'd like to figure out how to help a guy walk in space and things like that. A little bit more complicated than hitting a forehand or that kind of.
Tell them about the thing you told in the clinic this morning about the front of the brain and then the back of the brain and how people mess with that.
Yeah, the key is the best decisions are made in the frontal cortex. And when you can stay in the front of the brain, that's where you make your best decisions. And you want to be very careful. The back has very important functions, but when you leave the front, you don't make as many intelligent decisions. And more importantly, the cerebellum, which is in the back, can be affected, and that affects balance. So you want to stay in the front, but things that get you out of the front of the brain is when you get mad at yourself, you're disappointed in the way you play, you don't like your racket, you think you got a bad call, all the facial expressions and things like that. All they do is make this go dark and other parts light up. And so you got to find a way when you're playing sport to stay in the frontal cortex, and the way you do that is by only being concerned about each shot you're hitting. And if you can do that and rule out the past or the future or anything else. Some people get mad and say, God, I had him 4-love and lost. I had him 40-love, lost the game. It's so stupid. And then all you can see is this goes dark and the wrong place lights up. What you want to do is keep that front lit and stay positive and only focus on one thing at a time, not the past, not the future. And that's the very best a human can do.